Hello and welcome. This is the second episode of how to write clean code in JS. In today's episode, I will be talking about objects in JavaScript. As the first example, I will talk you through destructuring objects. So the object destructuring is a useful JavaScript feature to extract properties from objects and bind them to variables. To show you exactly how to do that, I'll create a sample object called car. This is going to hold some dummy data like car brand or production year. I'll also add a nested object called config, which will hold even more data. So excuse my bad, it's supposed to be colon, and then as a key Volvo. Production year, let's say it is a brand new number, and a config which is nested object. We're gonna add transmission manual, power 115, and park assistance set to false. Our sample object is now ready, and I'm going to show you a bad example on how to access the value from the object. To access values, you could use the dot notation, which is going to be a first example. So I'm going to create a const brand equals car.brand, which allows me to get the brand value. And below, I'm going to show you the example of getting the production year value. So production year equals car, square brackets, apostrophe, and then production year for this example. And then just to show you what I'm actually getting, I'll create a fake log. So console log brands, and this will give me the Volvo string, and then below console log production year, and this will get me 2022. So that was a bad example, and just to indicate that, I will add a don't comment. And below this piece, I'll add another comment saying do, so I can start showing you the correct way of destructuring the objects. In a good example, to extract the value, we need to write const, then within braces, you need to add a name of the key, but you could also rename your key, and this is what I've done. So eventually, instead of brand, I can just log it as a car brand. And as a second example, I'll keep it, the key exactly as it is, so production year, and then equals the object, which in this example is a car. Now I'm fake logging it again, so console.log car brand will return Volvo, and console.log production year will return 2022. So the bad example was two-liner, and the good one is one-liner. And object destructuring makes unpacking values much easier. Now I'll talk about using getters and setters. It's really useful when you're accessing the data instead of just looking for a property of an object. It makes adding validations and tests much easier. To show you what I mean, I'll create a bad example first. This will be a dummy function called update mileage, and it will return default value set to 0. So I'm going to write function update mileage, and then below I'm going to leave some space for dummy code, and then as a return I'm going to return mileage and set to 0. Now if I wanted to set the value of my car's mileage, I could just do that by writing const car equals to update mileage, and then below car.mileage equals 100. And if I wanted to log this out, then I would type in console.log car.mileage, and it will return 100. So that was a bad example, and as I was able to access the property directly from the object. In the good example, using getters and setters, we are not able to access the mileage directly. Instead, we'll have two functions to either get or set object's value. I will create the function with the same name. Inside of it, I'll add a let mileage equals to 0. Using let as this variable is reassigned later. As a getter, I'll create a get mileage and return mileage. And as a setter, I'll create a set mileage function with the value that I want to replace it with and reassign the mileage. So mileage equals to the value. Then below, I have to return these two functions to be able to access them later. So return braces and then get mileage and then set mileage. Now we're going to create a dummy log, and I'll show you how to use that function. So const car equals update mileage, and then below car dot set mileage, and I'm going to use a new value, which in this scenario is 100. And then if I want to get the value, then console log car dot mileage, and I will be able to see that it's coming back as 100. Next up is the method chaining, which is one of the most useful patterns in JavaScript. You will see in libraries like jQuery or Lodash. It will allow your code to be more expressive and less verbose. It's useful when you have to use classes in your JS. Also, quick note, if you like my content, please subscribe, like and comment. It really helps me so I can spend more time on creating free content for you guys. Thank you. So as an example, I'm going to start with bad example, obviously. I'll create a class called car. And as a constructor, I'm going to pass in transmission, mileage, and color. And below, I'm going to be binding this dot transmission equals to transmission, and the same for the rest. So this dot mileage equals mileage, and this dot color equals color. Also, another note, every single part of clean code principles can be found on my GitHub. Link is just in the video description. Okay, now I'm going to add a bunch of setters for each property. So I'm going to add a function called set transmission. I'm going to pass in transmission and return this dot transmission equals to transmission. And below, I'm going to do exactly the same for other values. So set mileage and set color. And I'm just going to skip forward. Okay, this is all done. Now I'll be adding a function called save, which eventually will be logging all values for us. So I need to pass them in. So this dot transmission, and then this dot mileage, and then this dot color. And I guess our function is ready. Now what I want to do below, I want to call it. So right underneath it, I'm going to show you how to use it. So I'm going to write const car equals to new car. And by looking at the properties needed, I've got a transmission, which I'm going to set to automatic, mileage 150, and then color yellow. And if I wanted to change the color, I'd have to write car.setColor and, for example, red. Then I can call car.save function, which returns values. And then within the return, I will see that color has changed from yellow to red. And as a reminder, this was a bad example. You should already know that we can do it better instead. We can just set it all in a one-liner. So I'll just copy and paste the content from the class car and just change a few bits. So basically I need to return this everywhere so I can enable chaining for the whole piece. So within set transmission, set mileage, and set color, and obviously save function as well, I need to return this. And I'm just going to add a log as well. So returning this for chaining for each one of them. So after I've got this done, I can just copy and paste the save function, which will look almost the same. And below the console log, I want to add a comment. And below the comment, I'm going to return this. Okay, this is all done. Now to show you how it works, it will be a one-liner. So const car equals new car. So pretty much the same as in the previous example. Then I'm going to be setting the values for that function. So automatic, 150, and yellow. And then if I want to set the color, so change the color, I'm going to type in set color, then a new color, which in this example is red, and then I want to save it. That's it, one liner, simple as that. Method chaining is really helpful, saves you a couple of lines of code and makes your code easier to read. I guess that's it for the objects. In the next part, you will find clean code principles for functions. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.